Stranger Things didn't have a great ending, but it also didn't have a bad one. And in an era of truly disastrous TV finales, that alone makes it worth talking about. Because when I watched it, it didn't make me regret the time I spent watching the show. There's been some time since Stranger Things ended, and now that the initial reactions have cooled off, I think we can finally talk about the finale honestly. Spoiler warning, obviously. But I also want to be clear, I didn't think the ending was the worst thing I've ever seen. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was good, but I thought it was fine. I say this as someone who has lived through some genuinely awful finales, Game of Thrones, Pretty Little Liars. If I had to compare Stranger Things to anything, it wouldn't be those shows. It would be another Netflix show. The Umbrella Academy, a show that went in circles for seasons only to end in a way that made the entire story feel pointless. Stranger Things didn't give me that feeling. When it ended, I felt the show had actually closed the door. Imperfectly, yes, but where it mattered most. At its core, Stranger Things has always been a character-driven story. Yes, there's a girl with superpowers. Yes, there are other dimensions or a wormhole and cosmic horror elements. But the reason people stayed for 5 seasons was for the characters and their relationships. And the finale clearly understands that. The last episode turns into an extended epilogue. It just keeps going, finding moments where it could end but choosing not to. And while that makes the episode drag, there's also this feeling that the characters deserve that time. The moment that really makes the finale work for me is the final Dungeons & Dragons scene. Mike finally gets something meaningful to do this season. He returns to being the storyteller, the emotional center of the group, and in doing so, he closes out their childhood. That scene alone is what turns this finale from bad into acceptable for me. Here's how I personally judge whether a TV finale is truly bad. If you skip it every time you rewatch the show, it failed. For example, I will always skip The Lost Sister when I rewatch Stranger Things. I think it's easily the worst episode. And Callie never needed to come back at all. A truly awful finale either makes you skip it or makes you never want to rewatch the show again. That's how I feel about The Umbrella Academy. I will never revisit that series. But Stranger Things, I would rewatch this finale, and that says a lot. My issues with the finale had more to do with plot holes. Where were all the Demogorgons? Did Will kill the last 3 Demogorgons? What about the bats? There were no bats in the Upside Down all season. There were vines, but there weren't vines in Dimension X or the Abyss. Then there's the strange belief that there was supposed to be a secret episode 9. I don't think that's real. Maybe that confusion alone says something about how unfinished the last episode felt. My biggest issue with the finale is Eleven's fate. Eleven went down with the Upside Down, or so it appeared. In the behind-the-scenes documentary, the Duffer Brothers made it clear that Eleven wasn't supposed to be around anymore, but they never say she dies. Matt Duffer. I always thought that she kind of represents magic, and so she has to leave. She has to be gone in order for them to move on. Gone is not the same as dead. Stranger Things shows Eleven dying, and then intentionally leaves the door open 3 inches, just in case they need to do a reboot or remake a few years down the road. Eleven surviving doesn't make sense unless it's just to keep the franchise alive. The bomb goes off where Callie is, so she couldn't have created an illusion of Eleven, and even if she could, her powers don't work at that distance. The only alternative is that Callie was never shot and tricked Hopper so Eleven could escape. But that would still require her to be close to the base. Now my head hurts. Too many plot holes. That is why when a character dies, I don't want it open-ended. I want the show to be clear on absolute death or absolute survival. And that is why I hate ambiguous deaths. I want a show to commit. Either kill the character or let them live with no questions as to whether they lived or died. Some of these issues extend beyond the finale itself. Season 5 spent too much time on characters that didn't matter, while sidelining the relationships that made the show work. Henry Creel's backstory is barely explored in the series itself, with crucial information pushed into a stage play that most fans will never see. That's information we needed before the show ended, not after. If they put the play on Netflix now, what's the point? Henry/Vecna/1 is dead. I wanted to see more of the main cast, particularly some of the pairs of characters. I wanted more Steve and Dustin. My least favorite season was season 3, and I think they really elevated it every time they were on screen together. I wanted more of Hopper and Eleven's dynamic, which was a central plot point since season 2. Their father and daughter dynamic was nice to see and how it evolved. Lastly, I wanted more of my absolute favorite pair, Mike and Will. I really liked their friendship and enjoyed watching Will have a crush on Mike with neither of them even realizing it. These two were very much best friends, and we did not get to see too much of that play out this season. And this was both Mike and Will's best looking season, in my opinion. Both of their haircuts looked the best it has ever looked. And the actors were both adults this season, so it is okay to appreciate how good they looked, especially Finn Wolfhard. If I were to pick the best looking cast member of Stranger Things, I would say Finn Wolfhard season 5. What about you? Who was your best looking cast member and what season? I have a lot of issues with how Stranger Things ended. It was rushed, overly safe, and filled with unanswered questions. But when the credits rolled, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel like the story was a waste of time. And in today's TV landscape, that counts for something. The ending wasn't great, but it was good enough for me to move on. What about you? Were you satisfied, or at least semi-satisfied with the ending, or did you completely hate it? That is all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!